Python, find and list. I use the following to check if item is in my underscore list. But sometimes, it doesn't find the item. Why is this? Is if item in my underscore list column the most Pythonic way of finding an item in a list?
As for your first question, if item is in my underscore list column is perfectly fine and should work if item equals one of the elements inside my underscore list. The item must exactly match an item in the list. For instance, ABC and ABC do not match. Floating point values in particular may suffer from inaccuracy. For instance, 1/3 not equal 2/3. As for your second question, there's actually several possible ways of finding things in lists. Checking if something is inside. This is the use case you describe, checking whether something is inside a list or not. As you know, you can use the AND operator for that. Filtering a collection. That is, finding all elements in a sequence that meet a certain condition. You can use list comprehension or generator expressions for that. The latter will return a generator which you can imagine as a sort of lazy list that will only be built as soon as you iterate through it. By the way, the first one is exactly equivalent to in Python 2. Here you can see higher order functions at work. In Python 3, filter doesn't return a list, but a generator-like object. Finding the first occurrence. If you only want the first thing that matches a condition, but you don't know what it is yet, it's fine to use a for loop, possibly using the else clause as well, which is not really well known. You can also use which will return the first match or raise a stop iteration if none is found. Alternatively, you can use finding the location of an item. For lists, there's also the index method that can sometimes be useful if you want to know where a certain element is in the list. However, note that if you have duplicates, .index always returns the lowest index. If there are duplicates and you want all the indexes, then you can use enumerate instead.
If you want to find one element or none, use default in next. It won't raise stop iteration if the item was not found in the list.
While the answer from Nicholas B. is pretty comprehensive, when we want to find an item in a list, it is sometimes useful to get its index.
Finding the first occurrence. There's a recipe for that in itertools. For example, the following code finds the first odd number in a list. You can copy/paste it or install more itertools, where this recipe is already included.
Another alternative, you can check if an item is in a list with if item in list column, but this is order on. If you are dealing with big lists of items and all you need to know is whether something is a member of your list, you can convert the list to a set first and take advantage of constant time set lookup. Not going to be the correct solution in every case, but for some cases this might give you better performance. Note that creating the set with set_my_list is also on, so if you only need to do this once, then it isn't any faster to do it this way. If you need to repeatedly check membership though, then this will be O1 for every lookup after that initial set creation.
If you want to support the channel, please consider subscribing.